Join. Meeting ID. Okay.
Meeting ID is 9, or passcode,
No, ID.
988
988
0761
61
9464.
9464.
You're on speakerphone.
Oops.
I'm on mute.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, council, staff, and residents, and those watching us on live stream. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Wednesday, May the 25th. I'm just going to go to full screen here. So we do have quorum this evening, so I'll call this meeting to order and ask that those that are on, we've got lots of guests with us tonight, and we're very thankful for that. Just to remind you all to make sure that you're muted when you're not speaking with us. And also to let you know that these meetings are being audio and video recorded and live streamed and shall form part of the record, which is retained in according to the town's retention bylaw. And you can get more information on that bylaw by contacting Clerk's Services. Now I would ask Councillor Nicol if he would please deliver the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Worship. The town of Innisfil acknowledges that Innisfil is situated on tree land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledged that this land is the traditional territories of the peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe people of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for the generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicol. We'll now move to open forum. Now, we did not have anyone sign up to speak at open forum this evening. However, we did have a resident who wanted to provide comments, written comments to council, Mr. Wayne Draper, and it's in regards to item B1, which we're going to be dealing with shortly. And if there's any, can I just ask the clerk's office if all of council has received a copy of those comments?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, the comments were circulated right after they were received by the clerk's office.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So we'll deal with that when we get to item B1. Next is the approval of the agenda. So may I have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Van Berkel and Councillor Orsatti, to move and support the recommendation that the agenda be approved as printed? Thank you. All those in favor? That is carried. So we'll get right into item number 4, which is disclosure of interest. Is there anyone who has a declaration this evening of a conflict or pecuniary interest? Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you when we're having our discussions this evening, just please let us know at that time, and we'll get the appropriate papers filled out for the clerk's office. Now we'll go to item 5, presentations and petitions. So it's very excited this evening to have a representative from CAMA who's come to speak to us about a very special award that the town of Innisfil has been awarded. And I welcome CAO Bev Hendry to the meeting. Welcome.
Thank you very, very much. Can you hear me? Just confirming.
Yes.
Okay, great. So good evening, Mayor Dolan, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really pleased to represent the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators this evening to present the town of Innisfil with the Professional Development Award. As Mayor Dolan mentioned, I'm Beverly Hendry. I'm the CEO for the Township of West Lincoln and also CAMA Director for the Board of Directors of CAMA and representing municipalities with a population less than 100,000. So it was really great to have Francesca Fugili, your Director of People and Talent, and a number of other council and staff members from Innisfil in attendance at the virtual award ceremony that was held on May 18th. And I'd also like to acknowledge at this time your CAO, Oliver Jershaw, for his membership and support of the association. So you're probably wondering about this award. So each year, CAMA recognizes the value of excellence and professionalism in municipal administration through the annual awards program and in 4 areas: program excellence, innovation, environmental leadership, and sustainability. Professional development and collaboration with external organizations and municipalities. That's a category. Awards are presented to local governments and their chief administrative officers in recognition of their creative and successful programs, projects, or services. The annual awards program has been designed to encourage excellence in the art of professional municipal administration. Success stories are circulated widely to provide CAMA members and other local government managers with new ideas that may prove useful for implementation in their own communities. And because Canada is a unique mixture of small and large communities, awards for innovation, environmental leadership and sustainability, and professional development are granted according to population. And we offer 3 population categories: for municipalities with a population under 20,000, for municipalities with a population between 20,000 and 100,000, and for those over 100,000. And we are pleased to receive a total of 35 award nominations this year, and they were all of excellent quality. So the following evaluation criteria were used when reviewing the submissions. The first is the extent that the program, project, or service involves innovation and creativity and exemplifies a significant change. The second is its impact on the profession of municipal administration. The third is the potential the program, project, or service possesses to enhance the practices of administrators elsewhere and the degree of the transferability of their to other local governments. The impact of the program, project, or service on the municipality and on the organization, even if the innovation itself was not new to the profession. And then the last criteria is the sustainability of the results, their long-lasting, positive, measurable effects on the success of the organization. So the award presentation that we're talking about tonight, the Professional Development Award, recognizes a community that has developed a unique and innovative program for their staff that can be replicated in other communities. Applications were asked to include documentation which outlines the program in all respects and also shows evidence that the program has been successfully implemented. So with a drum roll, this year's winner of the CAMA Professional Development Award for a municipality with a population between 20,000 and 100,000 is the town of Innisfil for your Learning and Development 2.0 strategy. So at this point, if I could ask the staff to please show the video that was prepared for this.
Congratulations to the town of Innisfil, Ontario, winner of the 2022 CAMA Professional Development Award in the 20,001 to 100,000 population category for its Learning and Development 2.0 strategy. As a learning organization, Innisfil prides itself on developing and growing their people and developing the skills, strengths, and abilities to meet current and future community needs. A Learning and Development 2.0 strategy was developed that solidified the town's commitment to high performance, revenue generation, and dynamic learning opportunities. It also supported the change necessary for the organization and its employees to move toward the desired corporate culture and community-focused approach to excellence in service delivery. The approach focuses on programs that support short-term and long-term learning objectives and aligns with Innisfil's culture, mission, vision, and values. As the town continued to move forward with employee engagement and a rich corporate culture that values innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, and performance, it was time to take a purposeful approach to learning and development and create longevity and impact for the organization. The strategy ultimately supports a strong culture that differentiates Innisfil from others so the town can attract critical talent, support, retain employees, and develop and grow their staff. This was especially important with employees facing increased service demands from a growing community with limited opportunities to grow operating budgets. Congratulations to the town of Innisfil, Ontario, winner of the 2022 CAMA Professional Development Award.
Thank you. With the greatest respect, I was not able to see the video. Could someone confirm that it was showing?
Absolutely. Thank you, CAO Hendry. It seems we've had some technical difficulties, and I'm hoping that we can sort that out and be able to show the video, because the video, really, we heard the audio, but we didn't see the video, and the video really is quite spectacular. But Deputy Clerk?
Our sincere apologies. We are having technical difficulties. We will definitely be able to attach it to the agenda tomorrow so that the public is able to see it. If we're able to get it up and running this evening, do you want us to try and play it? Okay, I will.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, later on, if you can, we'd like to see it. I got to see it live, and it's very good, and I would love for council to see it. If we can't get it up tonight, can you make sure that every member of council gets a link to it as well? Thank you, Deputy Clerk.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. When you're looking at another municipality system, you aren't too sure what is actually occurring. So he clarified what I was concerned about. Anyway, to Mayor Dolan and members of council, you should be very, very proud of your staff for submitting this application and for being awarded this great privilege. So with that, I know that Francesca and Lauren also wanted to say a few words, so I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Director Figliuzzi. Congratulations, and I will tell council before you start how you made a wonderful speech at the virtual conference, and you just made me so very proud.
Thank you so much, Mayor Dolan. A few words and then I'll pass it over to Lauren. First off, thank you, Bev, for joining us this evening and making this very wonderful presentation to the town of Innisfil. We are so very appreciative for the CAMA Board of Directors for selecting the town of Innisfil for this national recognition. We are so passionate about learning and development and are so proud of the Learning and Development 2.0 strategy that has been underway over the last few years. Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Davidson, members of council, thank you so very much for your ongoing commitment and support. We are a small and mighty organization. On behalf of the town, I'm so proud that we have received this award, and we certainly do look forward to continuing our evolution to redevelop learning and development at the town of Innisfil. And with that, I will turn over to Lauren, our People and Talent Leader.
Thanks, Francesca. I think to echo Francesca's comments, we are absolutely honored to be this year's recipient of the Professional Development Award of the 2022 CAMA Awards of Excellence. The plaque of recognition will be definitely on view and displayed at Town Hall. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions from members of council? Just very, very honored. This is a Canada-wide. So I think when I'm trying to remember some of the other winners, I think Kamloops was one of the other winners, and Richmond, BC was a winner. So really quite an honor, and to be in a category with municipalities twice our size as well. So really punching above our weight. And I want to thank CAO Hendry for being here with us this evening. Very much appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you. So I would ask for Councillor Waters and Councillor Fowler to move and second the recommendation. All those in favor? That is carried. And we'll keep working on trying to get that award presentation going. Next is item number 5.2, which is the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. And they're going to do their annual update. So I welcome the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee to turn on your camera and unmute whenever you're ready.
No, it's not. Sorry, we're coming.
We can hear you, Ms. Mallet, except there's just a bit of feedback.
Okay, my apologies for that. Are we okay now?
Certainly are, except we still can't see you. You've got your camera off.
It
It
keeps
won't
saying,
let me. It's telling me that I can't start it because the host has stopped it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get that fixed right now. Deputy Clerk?
Excuse me. Yes, Your Worship, that is the camera. The video is on. It's showing the EOS webcam utility. So I think
Okay.
it may be a technical issue on the other end.
Okay.
Oh dear. Well,
That's
as long as you can hear me, as I say,
Exactly.
that's the most important thing, without a doubt.
It seems
Okay.
to be a theme this evening. We can hear, but we can't see.
Oh dear. Okay, well, with that, I will move forward. Good evening, Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Davidson, members of council, staff, and the public. My name is Hilary Mallet, and I am the Vice Chair of your Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. We are very pleased to provide this annual update and to recognize that May the 29th to June the 4th, 2022, as National Accessibility Week in the town of Innisfil. This week is an opportunity to celebrate Canadians with disabilities and to also raise awareness of the critical need for accessibility and inclusion for all in our communities and in our workplaces. Your committee appreciates this opportunity to advocate for the residents of Innisfil to ensure the barrier-free community. At this time, though, it is with a heavy heart that we will be advising you of the loss of one of our Accessibility Committee members, Robert Davies, in 2021. Robert served with the IAAC for 11 years, and he was a very important part of this committee and his community, and he will be sorely missed. Our thoughts are with his wife, Joan, and their family. At this time, we'd also like to welcome Natalie Graham, who is the Communications Community Engagement Coordinator, and she has been providing support and updates through community engagement on behalf of the town. The committee was really excited that we received the support of the County of Simcoe, who had listened to the concerns raised by our Accessibility Committee and the residents regarding challenges to the new waste management cart system. We're very happy to see the implementation of this exchange and assistance program. Your committee will extend the appreciation to the County of Simcoe. And I'd like to point out that a wise man said, we are all in this together. The IAAC has recently started participating in the Accessibility Standard Committee. This is a committee led by people with disabilities to create a Canada without barriers. They work together to create modern accessibility standards in priority areas, to revise current accessibility standards, lead research, and support society to reach the highest level of accessibility. The IAAC attends webinars and provides input as information is provided. This committee also recommends that everyone visit this website to see all of the amazing work this team has done and is continuing to do for the future in meeting accessibility requirements. With the current pressures on local schools dealing with the pandemic over the past 2 years, the IAAC will be reaching out once again to the local elementary schools to bring back our valuable Breaking Down Barrier Awareness programs, hopefully in the fall of 2022 or early of 2023. This program provides students the understanding of how to break down barriers in their community and to ensure that all people of all abilities reach their full potential and are included in every way. Your committee also continues to consult with staff to ensure that town-owned and operated facilities are barrier-free. The committee has been an integral part of providing input on the importance of removing these said barriers and addressing accessibility requirements for the town's various master plans. The committee was pleased to participate in an on-site tour of the town campus with Max Fallhammer, future planner, to review accessibility concerns and to provide solutions to make this space fully accessible for everyone. Your committee is excited to see the town square under construction and completion, which is expected this fall. We have participated in the design process to ensure the site meets all AODA compliance. The Champion Park in Sleeping Line development has commenced early design, and the committee is really looking forward to meeting with town staff and the consultant to ensure that the jewel in the crown of our town namely the Margaretta Papp Byliner Accessibility Park is designed to have enhanced accessibility elements for children and adults of all ages. As the late founding member and chair of this committee for 16 years, Margaretta was comforted with the knowledge that Innisfil had approved this champion park. We were also pleased to have the opportunity to comment on the Cookstown Snowbot pilot project. The committee extends their appreciation to the staff and the Innisfil Beach Ad Hoc Committee for finding the addition of a beach wheelchair at Innisfil Beach Park. This will be a valuable asset to the park and its residents. Our committee has continued to meet virtually and looks forward to holding their first in-person meeting on June the 14th, 2022 at the Town Hall. We are happy to report that through the vision and policy changes made by the province of Ontario and the hard work of many accessibility committees, our world has really changed. We believe that our IAAC, councils with vision, and dedicated and cooperative staff, we have transformed the town of Innisfil into a place that everyone can be proud to call home. On behalf of your Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee, we thank council and staff for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Millette. We really do appreciate that. Questions or comments from the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee? Councillor Payne, Chair of the committee. You're on mute, Councillor.
Okay. Thank you, Hillary. That was wonderful. And I just want to thank the whole committee. Their heart and soul is in it. They're just they move me. They work so hard and they're dedicated and they're just wonderful people, and I've learned so much from them, and I think they're just absolutely fabulous. And they, like I say, they're hard workers. They know what they want, and they go forward and they get it, and they deserve everything that they get. So I just want to thank every one of them on the committee for everything that they do, the input that they put into the information and the work that they do. They're great, and I thank them.
Thank you, Councillor Payne, Chair. Your leadership shines through with this group. A good leader always passes on all of the praise to her team, and thank you for that.
And thank you, Mayor Dolan, for those comments, and Councillor Caroline Payne. And to echo what you've said, we're all a leader. We're all in this together. We're a team, and we all work really well for the one common goal. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think I know who that famous person is.
You might just.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Orsatti.
Thank you. And just to echo Councillor Payne's comments, that great appreciation on behalf of council to the members of this committee, and to thank each of them for opening up our eyes to the challenges that many face that we sometimes forget about. Thank
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would ask then that Councillor Payne and Councillor Nicol move and second the presentation be received with thanks. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Millette. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and more good news. Item 5.3, we're pleased to be joined tonight by members of the Innisfil Historical Society who have another exciting project for our park. And I believe I saw Ms. Weiss on here. Oh, Mr. Hall, sorry, I didn't see you there.
Oh, it's covered up there.
Welcome, President
yeah.
Hall. Welcome, President Hall.
Great. Thanks very much, Mayor Dolan, councillors and staff. Thanks for having us. I'm the president of Innisfil Historical these days, and I'm joined by our Director of Community Relations, Donna Weiss, who is somewhere else here on the checkerboard. I'm going to start out with a little bit of background for you, and then we'll move over to Donna to talk a bit about our most recent project and what we'd like to ask you about. So you'll see here, this year is our 50th anniversary, hard to believe. We're a completely volunteer organization. We've been going for the 50 years. We celebrate Innisfil's heritage and culture in many different ways. Could I have the next slide, please? One of the most noticeable ways you may know of us is at the corner of the 9th Line and 10 Side Road is the Knox School Heritage Site. It's really an outstanding example of collaboration between us and the town. Our earlier iteration of our earlier executive members worked very hard with the community to restore this so that it looks much the way it did in its heyday as a school. In fact, my late mother-in-law went here as a student, so a bit of a personal connection there. And it's not only a spot where we have our monthly meetings and store our books and some of our materials and have various activities, but also functions as a community hall. So it's the best of both worlds, outstanding example of heritage restoration because it has a modern use for keeping a building in the landscape the way it would have looked. So we have everything all together here. Next slide, please. Now, one of the most notable things that we do in this building is the third Saturday of every month. We hold monthly meetings, which are open to our members, as well as any member of the general public who'd like to drop by. We have various guest speakers on all kinds of heritage, cultural, and topics of interest. So this slide shows a few of our past presidents who you might know. This is Brian Baker, a long time, very popular president and heritage advocate. Next, please. A couple of more recent presidents, Marge Mossman in the right, and Andrew Cowan, who lives just down the road from the Knox School. Next slide. And the late Ross Wallace, who was certainly an immense figure in Simcoe County heritage and history, and just a huge source of information and promotion. So this just gives you a little bit idea of our meetings. Next slide, please. Our Stories Innisfil today, it's a website, very successful one, which is run in collaboration with the wonderful staff at the library. We have all kinds of information. I invite you to check it out. Here's Bev Cochran with the good old rolling pin brick toss in Stroud. It's one example of the kind of information we have on there. All kinds of family stories. The next slide, please. Weddings, long-time married couple here with the bridal veil spirea in the background. Next slide, please. And here we are, the 1950 Innisfil Council. You'll notice a good number of them were farmers at the time, reflecting the heritage at the time. Okay, next slide, please. You're probably familiar with this project, which we worked again in collaboration with council, and thanks very much for your assistance and sponsorship. This gives a modern, it's the latest one in a series of 4 or 5 books since the 50s that periodically update the state of the town, talking about its people, activities, and sort of preserving forever our heritage. And this we were able to, it took a lot of work and research, and we ended up having to, it was finally printed and ready to be launched in the middle of the pandemic, but we didn't let that stop us. And we were able to have at Town Hall on a very hot July day, a book launch of this, and it's sold extremely well. And if you don't have a copy, I'm sure you'd like to get your hands on it, your friends and neighbors. And we're very proud of this. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is our some photos from the launch. It was quite a community event that we were able to do quite safely, as I said, in the middle of the pandemic. So it gave people a bit of a boost and kept us on schedule, and it also functioned as a fundraiser for ourselves too. So it helps whole circle there of what we do. Now, I believe with the next slide, it's over to Donna Weiss to talk about our latest project.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to share, brag a little bit and propose a new idea as well. So this is our new logo. Some of the old elements are still there. I think I draw your attention especially to the newer landscape, which of course shows the rise in houses, apartments, schools, and we've never had anything that indicated the 400 has been with us. And let's face it, imagine a highway as extensive as that coming through all of our lot 7s, from the most southerly to the northerly. We still, of course, allotted a significant space on our logo for agriculture, the prime and valued industry that it is. So that's, again, significant. And of course, we do pay tribute to Lake Simcoe and all the wonderful endeavors and fun that we all have, residents and visitors alike. Next, please. Now here we are in our beloved Innisfil Beach Park, the 2 islands in the background. And this has been chosen, with luck, we hope, that our next big project can be placed approximately in this location. We've been in consultation and collaboration with Chris Trevison and Catherine Schoutsen, so that this shoreline outlook in Innisfil Beach Park is a natural choice for us for both winter and summer. Countless hours are spent along the shoreline. So this is our proposal. Next slide. It is a photo frame. You have to imagine yourself with your family in that very spot in the park, and you're having your photo taken. You could be thinking about, posing with friends and family. You could be thinking about the opportunity for decades yet to come for people to have their family photos taken there. So this photo frame, from the dimensions, you can see the width of it. I would think we would be able to get 5 or 6 even plump Innisfil people behind that frame. So a very sturdy stainless steel frame, very securely fastened, high quality powder coating, the color yet to be determined. And we just feel this will reflect history, because that's one thing we find in our on our website, is that people have taken lots of photos of the park, and I can picture that this will be featured in the future in the park. Next one. Now, just because we wanted to establish a little historical background, interesting that this data came to our attention. So according to the diary kept by Governor Simcoe's, one of his aides, that he was en route to the naval establishment at Penetang. And we have verified through this particular book and writing that Simcoe and his party with his native guides headed north by canoe. First, they stopped at Degrassi Point and visited the band there. Later in the afternoon, they sailed north, and we can tell by the description of the shoreline that it was Innisfil Park, where they definitely camped overnight. So even if we have to say in an information sign, Governor Simcoe slept here, I think that might add some credibility to why that spot is very significant to Innisfil. And Mark is going to conclude our presentation. Next slide.
Yes, again, so I just wanted to mention that the frame itself would be, we've been working with on the design and potential fabrication. We work with an Innisfil metal fabrication company that specializes in this kind of thing. So it's actually all done right here in the town. And basically it would be that this frame would be our gift to the town and the people of the town, marking our anniversary. We're prepared to foot the bill for the fabrication, the installation, and everything along with that. So we're hoping that you will agree that it is a significant historic site, and this is a monument type of thing that not only marks our 50th anniversary, but is an interactive kind of feature that would add additional life to the park, and something that will mean something to residents and visitors for a long time to come. So I would say thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, Donna or I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Mark and Donna, for being here. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to congratulate with the logo. I know the artist who did it. It's a local artist, Ron Haste. Beautiful work. So you chose very appropriately with it, and I fully support it. So thank you for looking within to see the beauty that we have.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Davidson.
Thank you, through your worship. Just with our previous presentation with accessibility, is there any way that sign could be made to lower and raise lower? So if somebody in a handicapped position could have a picture taken through that frame, it might just be a consideration.
Good point.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions or comments? I think it's unique and different and fun. Every other community and their brother are copying the Toronto sign and bringing it to their municipalities. And this is just, I think, so much better and innovative and different. And so thank you so much for whoever was the brainchild behind the picture frame. I think it's an ideal project, and it's very good of you to choose the Innisfil Beach Park to put this historic landmark that will always mark the 50th anniversary of the Historical Society. Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is just to be received this evening, but I know I've received an email from staff, so I know they're working hard with you to make it happen. And if there's anything you need, please reach out, and we'd be happy to help assist.
Good, thanks very much.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask Councillor Payne and Councillor Nicol to move and second the recommendation to receive the presentation this evening. Oh, and Councillor Nicol's got his book. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us this evening. You're welcome to turn your camera on and stay with us for the rest of the meeting, or you can log off, whichever suits you the most. Thank you. All right, so that moves us on to item 6, which is delegations And we do have one delegation this evening, and it is our own Mitchell Harris who will be delegating regarding one of the items that are on our C1 item that's on the agenda tonight, which is the automated monetary policy, better known as AMPS. Mr. Harris, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council, fellow staff, residents, and everyone tuning in this evening. In this presentation, I'll provide a brief background and overview of the proposed Administrative Monetary Penalty, or AMPS bylaw, that is attached to Staff Report DSR 07822, and this report can be reviewed on this evening's meeting agenda. Next slide, please. Currently, parking tickets are issued, processed, and adjudicated under the Provincial Offences Act. The Provincial Offences Act outlines and prescribes the administration and adjudication process for all parking tickets. Under the current process, there's limited opportunity for flexibility. In 2006, the Municipal Act was amended to include Section 102.1, giving municipalities the authority to introduce AMPS for violations of bylaws respecting the parking, standing, or stopping of vehicles. Furthermore, Ontario Regulation 33307 was introduced, setting out specific requirements that must be met in order to establish an AMPS program for parking. Several municipalities have or are in the process of implementing AMPS for parking-related matters, and all feedback received indicates that their processes are running with increased efficiency and in a cost-effective manner. Innisfil has partnered with the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury to develop this AMPS initiative, which is proposed for both municipalities. Working closely together has allowed us to share research and development resources, and the plan going forward is to share resources wherever possible. Next slide, please. As mentioned, the current process for parking enforcement is contained in the Provincial Offences Act. The timelines, fees, and court processes are prescribed in the Act, giving staff little latitude to resolve issues outside the process. Individuals who get a ticket under this process will have the option to pay the fine or request a trial. Next slide, please. The AMP system would move the adjudication process out of the court to a municipally administered dispute resolution process aimed at earlier resolution. In accordance with legislation, several components need to be in place before penalty notices can be issued and include a procedural bylaw, an appointment bylaw for screening and hearing officers, a bylaw to amend existing parking bylaws, approval of administration fees for late or failed to respond, and a new set of policies to ensure fairness and accountability. The bylaws are before council tonight, and if approved, staff will return to council on June 8th for approval of the associated policies. Next slide, please. The process for the frontline staff will look similar, with provincial offenses notices now being called a penalty notice. Once a penalty notice is issued, a person could pay it or request to speak to a screening officer by completing an online form, calling or attending town hall. Screening officers are appointed and will be existing staff person or persons. The screening officer will discuss the circumstances with the person and attempt to resolve the matter on the spot. The screening officer has an increased level of discretion and can reduce, extend the time for payment, or cancel the penalty, depending on the circumstances. And an example might be a screening officer could reduce the penalty on the first offense. It is important to note that the screening officer will be guided by policies and procedures with a view to encourage early resolution. If the person is satisfied with the decision, they can pay the fine amount. If the person is not satisfied, they can request an appointment for a hearing. Next slide, please. A hearing is presided over by a hearings officer, being an independent party appointed by council. The proposed recruitment process will involve a joint panel comprised of representatives from both the town of Innisfil and Bradford, West Gwillimbury. Once selections for appointment are formulated, staff will report back to their respective councils for consideration. Hearings are scheduled when needed, and staff anticipate one hearing date to be scheduled per month. Hearings can be considered quasi-judicial, but are significantly less formal than a provincial offences trial. The decision of the hearings officer is final, and any resulting fine is due and payable. If a fine is not paid within the amount of time given for payment, it would be forwarded to the Ministry of Transportation to be placed in the plate denial system, as is currently the case. Next slide, please. Staff believe there are several significant benefits to implementing an AMPS program for parking tickets, including enhanced customer service. The AMPS process is less formal and less intimidating than provincial offences court, and would give staff more flexibility through the screening process to resolve matters. It would relieve pressure on the already stressed regional court system and significantly reduce wait times for defendants wanting to dispute fines. Under the AMPS system, municipal officers would not be required to attend AMPS hearings, whereas they may be required to spend half a day up to a full day in court for current proceedings. There is a potential for greater cost recovery, as a larger portion of the fees related to late or defaulted fines will stay with the town. Currently, late fees are shared between the town, the regional court, and the province. There's also the potential to mitigate officer safety concerns relating to certain enforcement issues, such as parking enforcement in school zones, while still holding people accountable. The current parking system requires that a parking ticket be placed on a vehicle or served on a person at the time of offense. There are times when this requirement can result in a safety concern, particularly when the driver of the vehicle leaves the area quickly. The AMPS program can provide for a ticket to be mailed to the driver after the fact. Next slide, please. The AMPS program would not significantly impact our current process with how parking tickets are issued or how many would be issued, and all project and implementation costs, such as project management, agreement updates, software upgrades, and the redesigning of forms and tickets are captured under the CDSB's municipal operating budget. There is a new foreseeable expense item relating to the compensation for hearing officers of $6,000 annually per town. As mentioned earlier, hearings officers would be shared between Innisfil and Bradford West Gwillimbury, with hearings taking place approximately once per month in each town. Staff believe there will be an increase in parking fine revenue as it relates to the collection of late fees imposed when someone fails to fulfill their obligations to respond appropriately to resolve the ticket. As mentioned earlier, the larger portion of late fees would be retained by the town. As the program rolls out, it will be monitored, and any required budget adjustments would be incorporated into future budget processes. Next slide, please. There are 4 administrative fees recommended to be approved by council tonight. Fees are only added when a penalty goes unanswered. The 4 fees associated with bylaw are administrative transportation search fee of $10, and there is a cost to the municipality of $8.25 per search. A late fee, or fail to respond to pay fee, of $25. The current fee is $16 and has not been adjusted for over 20 years. A hearing non-appearance fee of $50, and this is cost recovery for costs associated with scheduling and conducting a hearing. And a plate denial fee of $25, which is a continuation of the current fee applied through the POA legislation. Next slide, please. Should council approve the AMPS procedural bylaw, staff will continue to work with Bradford West Gwillimbury and our external consultant on implementing the system. Our next steps are to return to council June 8th for approval of the policies associated with the AMPS program. These policies are meant to mirror the fundamental protections provided in the traditional court system, governing the screening officer and hearing officers' exercise of discretion. Over the course of the summer and into the fall, staff will begin to implement software updates to our existing parking management system, revise the penalty notice related forms, train staff, along with finalizing new Ministry of Transportation agreements for license plate searches, as well as the posting and recruitment of hearing officers, which staff would come back to council for appointment at a future meeting. The anticipated go live date would be Q1 of 2023. Staff believe this project to be a significant step forward in terms of enhancing customer service around the parking ticket process by providing an alternative dispute resolution option versus a traditional enforcement approach. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, next slide. Just an administrative note, there was a minor correction to the procedural bylaw before council tonight on Schedule A, line 67 and 68, reference section 15A III, that should be section 15A II, and that correction has been made to the bylaw before council tonight. Next slide, please. Thank you. I would also like to shout out and thank the many town departments, including Louise in legal, clerks, IT, finance, communications, customer service, our external consultant, Shane Turner, the manager of enforcement in Bradford, Brent Lee, and the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, on working together on this project. And thank you for listening. The team and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harris. Questions are from members of council, please. Councillor Arsadi. Oh, there's lots. I'll write them all down. You go first, Councillor Arsadi.
Thank you very much. Great presentation, Mr. Harris. And I think this is another great initiative of staff and shared services. In reading this agenda item that's on tonight, looking at the current backlogs in the court system, 8 to 9 months. And this is a win-win, saving money on the fees, the shared hearing officers with Bradford. It's another great partnership with Bradford that we've already been working with other services. And I think it improves and streamlines the service. So it's also going to help those that are getting a parking ticket to understand it in the system. But I just, while I have you here, just one question that was in the town parking bylaw, that was a $35 fee that we have in the bylaw that says stopping too far from a curb. Can you explain that one to me, please? I don't understand stopping too far from a curb. I can understand parking too far and getting a ticket.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mr. Harris.
Through your worship, the Councillor Arsadi. I would have to look at the bylaw to give you a correct answer, but so all the fees in the AMPS bylaw are carried over from the current parking bylaw. So most offenses are stop or park, and they're broken down in 2 sections. That way an officer would have the ability to issue a ticket if a vehicle is stopped or parked. That just gives a bit more of an ability for those offenses.
Yeah. I think I'll have to look that one up later, make sure that I don't ever do that offense. Thank you. A great presentation and a good report. And I think this is, from all the staff that are working on this, a continuation of partnership and how our 2 towns are merging together to provide a better streamlined service.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree. It was a very good presentation. I think it's an excellent initiative. Anything to streamline the process and bring the revenues back to this municipality is always a welcome addition to Innisfil. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. I do have a question. And I understand this is only for parking, but is this a system that can be used for other fines that bylaw issues? Complaints, dogs, those types of things. So is this something that can be expanded to other services and bylaws that we offer in the town?
Mr. Harris.
Absolutely. Thank you. Through your worship, to Councillor Waters. Yes. So Schedule B of the bylaw is meant for expanding the offense section. So in the future, yes, we could add any of the bylaws to the AMP system.
Excellent.
And if I could just add to that, Mr. Harris, so just very recently, I think it was about middle of April, MTO has put out new regs for automated speed enforcement cameras, which right now have been unattainable to us simply because of the cost of going through the Toronto consortium. And my understanding is that those regs will also support an AMPS program. So things like red light cameras, automated speed enforcement, and school bus stop arms will all eventually be rolled in, but you'll only be able to use it if you already have an AMPS system up and running. So I think this is a very good first step, and I think we'll see more added onto it in the future. Is that right, Mr. Harris?
Through your worship, yes, that is correct. We are awaiting some more information throughout the summer from AMO and the province with direction to that. But yes, correct.
Thank you. I saw Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councillor Van Berkel.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. I noticed you mentioned on the late fees, the $25 late fee charge, but it hasn't been updated in 16 years, I think, or it's to 20 years, and they take $16. Also, the other question I have is the hearing for non-appearance. I mean, it's $50 that we're charging. Probably in the recommendation later, I'll see that to 100 because we do have a huge influx from the GTA. And if you notice in the report here, the GTA area, Richmond Hill, blah, 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 Mississauga, they're used to paying $100, Markham's $100. And we do know that right now, because of provincial election, they don't want to increase any fines and penalties across Ontario. But we know with our Airbnb situation, the fines and fees aren't enough to really warrant somebody stopping it. So when was the last time the hearing for non-appearance fee was updated?
Mr. Harris?
Through your worship to the Deputy Mayor, this would be a new fee under the bylaws. So this is the first time we have introduced this fee.
Okay, I'm in favor of maximizing because if somebody's ignorant enough to not show up, they should pay a maximum fee on that. So, and it would help the revenues for the municipality. So thank you.
Ms. Verbosch?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Deputy Mayor Davidson, the one thing we have to be careful with an AMPS program is that the regulation restricts us to only imposing fees that cover our costs. They can't be punitive.
Thank you, Ms. Verbosch. Sorry, that was Councillor Van Berkel was next, yes.
Thank you, Your Worship. I thank you, Mr. Harris. I do think it was an excellent presentation and I'm in favor of streamlining. I just, for my own curiosity, how many parking tickets are given out on a yearly basis and how many of these would go to hearings, percentage-wise?
Mr. Harris, ballpark?
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor Brown Berkel. I don't have the exact number for parking tickets. Right now, I could say
approximately.
We have approximately 40 waiting right now for trial in the POA courts. And that's over the course of just over a year and a half, 2 years. So approximately in the ballpark that go to trial right now between 20 to 30 a year.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is really a step in the right direction, a fundamental step that will be able to grow over the years. And I can tell you the ability for us to have plate denial with MTO was about a 6 or 7 year fight to get the MTO to agree to that. And it's had a big advantage too, because before if people didn't pay their POA tickets, there was no recourse for them. People could just go on forever and not pay these tickets. And that plate denial system had a huge impact right across the province. So I think we're making some really good progress here, and I look forward to seeing it roll out in our community. And yeah, I also echo Councillor Sadi, when we can share costs and labor with a neighboring municipality, that makes a huge difference. So thanks for all your efforts on this and all your team, very much appreciated. And I will ask Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councillor Ices to move and second the recommendation that the delegation be received. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. That's wonderful. That brings us to item number 7. Any updates from any committees that you sit on for the good of the municipality? Councillor Van Berkel?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we had another in-services meeting on May 19th. The gist of it is we had, the audit reports for financial reviews, which took up most of the meeting. But just an update that the intake cleaning at the water plant was completed. And also a letter went out to the septic haulers that the closing of the receiving station is delayed until September. And there was a review as well of user fees. They haven't been reviewed in 2018, so it was high time that we did that. And that includes like for damage deposits and stuff like that. We looked at the respectful workplace policy, corporate policy, asset management plan, and backflow prevention bylaw, and shared services update. I think that that's pretty well what the meeting was all about.
Thank you, Councillor Van Berkel. Anyone else? Councillor Orsatti?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on behalf of the Innisfil Idea Lab and Libraries, in recognition of National Indigenous History Month, the Lakeshore Library has an amazing guest speaker. Just pulling up my notes here to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Month. The Chippewas of Rama First Nation elder and knowledge keeper, Mark Douglas, will be joining the library staff and all residents who registered to attend the event on June 11th at the Lakeshore branch. He'll be telling the story of the fish fence in the narrows between Lake Couchiching and Simcoe. And this is a 5,000-year-old story that was almost lost. So it's a great way to meet an elder and knowledge keeper and hear the story firsthand as we celebrate that. Very proud of the library with this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Orsatti. Anyone else? I have a number, so I apologize in advance. First of all, the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit met, and the good news is that this wave, as it goes down, the mortality rate worldwide is much lower. So that still means 13,000 deaths in Ontario since the beginning of the pandemic, and the USA just passed their millionth death due to the pandemic. So, but because of the lower mortality rates now, the health unit is able to resume some of the duties that it put on hold during the pandemic, and it's still operating the clinic. If there's any booster shots needed, it's still operating the clinic at the Sperling Drive location in Barrie and also at Georgian Mall. County of Simcoe met yesterday, and it was paramedic week, and we had the winner of the Junior Paramedic Award, and she was able to get a picture taken and an award from paramedics for her presentation. Also, I was able to be at Simcoe County to hand the keys of a refurbished ambulance over. Once a year, County Council donates one of their older but still in good shape ambulances to a good cause. In the past, it has been the Busby Center or the Living Wish Foundation. This year, the ambulance is going to Pennington in Nunavut, which is on Baffin Island. It's a very, very remote, small community that actually the ambulance will be going to Montreal, and then will be loaded on a sea lift, and it'll take months to get there. There's only about 100 kilometers of roads in the village. They have never had an ambulance before. They don't have 911 service. The ambulance will basically take it to the health service or take more critically ill people from the health service to the airport. So they're absolutely thrilled to have this opportunity, and I think it's wonderful that we were able to provide them that, along with a couple of the older stretchers that are manual lift that we're no longer using. So just makes me feel how spoiled we are here to be able to help out other communities in our country. That was that. Oh, and then one other. So Police Services Board met this morning, and I'm very pleased to announce that Chief Fletcher, whose contract was actually up in April, has agreed to extend his contract with us. I thank him and his wife for putting off their retirement plans and staying with us for an undisclosed point in time right now, but it'll be at least till the end of 2022, it looks like. So he's done such amazing work for the service. He's put in a long 5-year plan and a new strategic plan and new capital plan and has things humming. And so we're very pleased to announce that he will continue in that role. We also received the annual report, which I'll send you all a link to because it's really, really well done. And we talked about shared services, so I'll share that South Simcoe Police worked with Michelle McKinley from the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library, and they worked together to have this annual report put forward. And Sue Scambatti, who does communications for South Simcoe Police, was just thrilled to work with Michelle and just very, very pleased. And at half the cost, just less than half the cost of it, they would have had to go out and get it done professionally, and it looks so professional. So thank you to the Innisfil. I'll ask our 2 reps on the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library to bring that thanks back. I did send Ms. McKinley and thank you email earlier today. And then the body worn camera pilot project started on May the 6th. It's going really well. It'll be going till the end of August, and then a report will come back to the Police Services Board in October to see where we want to go in future. But so far, everyone who has interacted with an officer with a body worn camera is given a little piece of paper to go on a website and fill out a survey form, and then we're getting like an 86% uptake on this survey, so that will help inform our decision going forward. But so far it seems to be going over quite well with the residents. And then finally, some really good news on a front that is, I know, near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is traffic safety. So it was announced at the School Zone and Traffic Safety Committee, Staff Sergeant Phillips. As you know, we purchased a speed camera that we sort of copied off of Bradford because theirs was so successful. It's not a camera that can give out tickets, but it gives out warnings. So a warning letter is produced, and in this case, where it is on Jans Boulevard, has been obviously a hot spot, to put it. There were I can't remember, Councillor Sadi, maybe you can help me. In a short period of time, there were 1,800 pictures taken, and those are vehicles going, at least, it doesn't even take a picture unless you're going 15 kilometers over the speed limit. So, and there were 1,800 of them in a short time. And then what the officer does is not only he sends out letters, and almost all of them, like 99% of them, are Innisfil residents. And there were, I believe, 12 or 14 incidents with a vehicle. So for those people who were I want to call them frequent flyers, for lack of a better term, they received a phone call from Staff Sergeant Phillips, and quite honestly, in most cases, in the top 5, it was high school students. So the parents of those high school students would have got a call from Sergeant Phillips explaining how fast that car was going, their car was going down that road, how many times a day. So suffice it to say, I wouldn't want to be that child coming home for dinner that evening, but it's whatever it's doing, it's working, because the same measure the next week went from 1,800 to 1,100. So it's quite a distinct help. with our speeding problem. So really another great, we're the only 2 municipalities that we know of that have this program, and really quite pleased to get that kind of an impact. And then finally, Platoon B took it upon themselves for 1 hour to sit at the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 6th, 7th, and 9th at Yonge Street and those lines, and charged 6 cars in 1 hour for not coming to a stop at those stop signs going onto Yonge Street, because there's such a high collision rate there. So, you know, that's the type of service that South Simcoe is supplying us, and I'm sorry to take up so much airtime, but I just thought those were really good examples of how South Simcoe Police is proactively working our community. Anyone else? Councillor Waters.
Just a quick question concerning the number of incidents where cars were speeding. Are the police phoning every single one of those, like 1,800 phone calls, or how many of those are they actually phoning?
No, I think a letter went out to them all. So
Gotcha.
Everyone got a letter,
Mhm.
but only phoning the ones that had several occurrences. And then I will tell you what he did too, is he told his officers the top 5, and within the next 24 hours, all 5 of them were charged. So the ones that were very egregiously over, like some of them more than double, were charged.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Seeing no other comments, we'll move on to our consent list. So we'll go through all of the staff reports. If council is okay with what is the staff recommendation, then it won't be pulled. Or sometimes we have questions, and then those ones we pull, we can debate, and then maybe make recommendations in the end. And then we'll confirm everything with the confirmatory bylaw at the end when we go back into council session. So adoption of the minutes. A1, that would be the meeting minutes of May 11th. A2, the first one was the special council, and these ones are the regular council meeting minutes, the 11th. B1, the Municipal Advisory Committee meeting. Councillor Ices.
Yes, Your Worship. I wouldn't mind asking a few questions about that. We did get a written open forum, so
okay,
I'll pull that.
Yeah, we'll move that to committee. Thank you, Councillor. Next is item B2, the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. C1, the Administrative Monetary Penalties and Bylaws. We had good discussion about that earlier, so perhaps that was enough. C2, the Q1 update recommendation. Councillor Waters.
Yeah, I just have just a single question. So, I could either pull it and just ask the one question, or if anyone else has any questions concerning that, we could pull it. If not, I'll just ask my one question.
Councillor Waters, I had a question too, so perhaps we could pull it.
Okay.
That suits you. Thank you, sir. Sure. Next is item C3, the annual review of investment policy statement. Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. I'm looking to get a question answered regarding the matter. It's a little more in depth, so when we get to it, it'd be something we could possibly pull.
Okay, it's referred to committee. Thank you.
Yes.
And C4, the committee and local board administrative policy. Councillor Orsatti, you want that pulled as well? No? You want to speak to it? Thank you.
Yeah, just to speak to it, I don't think that there's a need to pull it unless other council members had questions. This was something that I had requested, and I wanted to thank staff for pulling this together in such a short time. And, for really jumping on board with this, because I think that this new administrative policy and this recruitment committee is really going to help the next council and all those committees and boards. So, it will assist committee members and board members with understanding what types of education and training opportunities are applicable to them for that committee, the budgets that they have. But also, I think the key is that recruitment committee that will involve the people and talent, the different, it could be the library. That was one that I was concerned about, and staff and clerks and representatives. So the feedback that they're receiving from the committees and some of the concerns. So staff have done a lot of work with this, pulled it together in a short amount of time. And I think it's going to be a great benefit to the, future council and committees. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor. Yeah, I agree. And it just puts everything in black and white. One of the things I was glad to see it address was the item where several members of council want to attend a committee meeting. There might be something that they're very interested in that committee meeting, and how the rules fall out if you are not a member but a member of council. So it was good to get all of that clarified in this. Well done. Thank you. So next is C5, designation of the Heritage Act for 6276 Yonge Street, the Waterloo Inn. C6, 1260 Shoreview, it's a CPPS policy. Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Worship. I don't need to pull it. I just want to make council aware that I did touch base with staff already, and publicly I wanted to ensure that everybody knows that the gas fireplace and any other gas lines that are in those current drawings will be removed, as they are contrary to section 2.3 of this recommendation. So I just want to make sure that everybody was aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cannon, something to add? No? Okay. Thank you. All right. Then we go to staff reports for information. Item D1, the 2021 annual investment report. Councillor Waters.
Just a comment. I just want the residents to know what a great decision council made and what staff made. That recommendation to us to take on the JIB. To go from 0.64 in terms of percentage increase to 6%, that's a huge amount. That's a majority of the money that we make is off that $10 million that we invested. So I just want to first let the residents know that I think we made a good decision on that one. I think staff did as well. So we can pat ourselves all on the back for that one. And I would encourage us to see whether or not there's any other money that's just sitting around that we can invest in that account. So I just want to congratulate staff and council for a decision we made, almost 2 years ago.
Thank you, Councillor Waters. Absolutely, I agree. And every cent that we make through Prudent Investor is a cent less we have to get from the taxpayer. So absolutely. And Mr. Melanishin, take a bow. Well done. D2, the action tracking list update. Councillor Eitzes.
Thank you, Worship. I don't want to pull it. I just, I was reviewing it, and it's great to go over to see, where some of the decisions we made here at council table, where they're at in their process. Just maybe a suggestion, if there could be a column put in there when the action is specific to a ward, I would find that helpful, because I'm always looking to see if it's in my ward, and if that can be identified right off the bat, that would be helpful.
Thank you for that, Councillor Eitzes. I know Ms. Thoma's listening, so I'm sure they'll take that into consideration. Councillor Orsatti.
Yes, thank you. I don't want to pull it, just two comments. Always good to see that report. We like that little checklist. I noticed that it does say Innisfil Beach Park implementation report back in the second quarter of 2022. That leaves only next month. So I presume that's coming back then. And I was very happy to see the public art policy for a percentage for art program. That is something that we really need to start doing and recognizing. It's a way, this is through the library, but it's also a start. We started with the ice huts, and I think this is a way to grow recognition of our history, of our culture, and acceptance of art.
Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, I've lost my place. All right. Next is item E1, which is the bylaw for the students for the septic reinspection program. Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Worship. I did receive my my notice today already in the mail. So Mr. Vickers is very, very efficient. I also wanted to mention that not only receiving this today, but I believe I already met Brittany and Letitia yesterday because they completed my inspection here in Guildford already. So this part of Guildford is already well on its way. So just want to say thanks to staff for being very proactive. Thank you.
That's great. So anybody that's captured in the Lakes Protection Plan, or anybody that's captured in the Clean Water Act, so 100 meters from the shoreline or 100 meters from a wellhead well, will be captured, and it's a 5-year process. So I think this is we're on our second inspection since that came into effect. Next is item F. There's no items of correspondence for action. Item G1, the South Simcoe Police Services Board meeting minutes from March 23. And I will mention to Clerk's office, I did ask the board administrator this morning at the board meeting to, when the minutes are approved, to send a copy of them to Clerk so that you get the most up-to-date minutes. Next is the Innisfil Public Library Board minutes dated April the 25th. Next is a proclamation for National Indigenous History Month, June 2022, and National Indigenous Peoples Day, June 21, 2022. We also did a proclamation for the National Deafblind Awareness Month, June 2022, and also a proclamation for Innisfil Pride Month, which is June 2022. And just a reminder to everybody that on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, there will be a Pride flag raising at Town Hall. And that's it. So then we'll go to the consent list continued. Recommendation that the items contained except the items, have we got them all captured there? Be approved, and I will ask Councillor Van Berkel and Councillor Orsatti to move and second that recommendation, please. That's carried. Oh, sorry, all in favor? A little presumptuous of me. Now it's carried. And item 8.2, that council resolve into committee the whole, and that's moved by Councillor Waters, second by Councillor Fowler. All those in favor? Carried. So we'll go to the first item, B1, and that's Councillor Ices. You had some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I wonder if I could get a seconder from Councillor Nicol. Thank you. Yeah, I thought the fact that the Mr. Draper presented a written open forum comment that I would ask a few questions on his behalf. I haven't talked to Mr. Draper. I was just, I know when this committee submits its recommendations, they're always well thought out, but it can be confusing what the recommendation means. So maybe I'll ask the question. This property is a listed property, and that would be different than being designated. Could I get clarification on that?
You certainly can, Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, Your Worship, through you to Councillor Ices. So what is being requested of council is to list the property as a non-designated listed property. So it's not designated, it is what's known as being listed, which as far as the Ontario Heritage Act, what would be required of the property owner would be a 60-day hold on a demolition permit. So what is being requested of council is to add the property as a listed non-designated property.
Councillor Ices?
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Jacob. The comment that Mr. Draper made, that he was concerned that his house and barn are in generally poor condition and they do not wish to participate. Can you explain what the criteria would be for the property being in poor condition, what that would mean by this recommendation? Anything?
So properties under the Ontario Heritage Act, properties are evaluated under Ontario Regulation 0906 based on three main criteria. In order to qualify to either be a listed property or a designated property, they have to meet at least one out of the three criteria, and that being that the property has design or physical value, it has historical or associative value, or it has contextual value, where it adds character to a streetscape or something like that. So this property was evaluated. It's important to note too that the barn would not be impacted by a listing or even hypothetically a designation. It's just strictly the house itself. So the barn that's located on the property would not be impacted in any listing. And as far as the current state of a property that are brought forward for either listing or designation, generally it's not a huge criteria as far as the current state, because there are older ruins and whatnot that have been added to lists. So generally it's what this property was evaluated on was that it was an early example of sort of a first permanent house of settlers. The property is estimated to be about 160 years old. It is part of the original Perry estate, which Cookstown, which was originally named Perry's Corners. So that property is located on what was the original Perry estate. And it just adds to the overall ambience to the as you're leaving the village and whatnot. So that's kind of the sort of the main evaluation sort of points that were made by the committee.
Thank you for that. I was curious when I read that he was concerned about the state of his barn. I am a huge fan of old barns, but I do know I do struggle a little bit with, if that would be in the designation. So to hear that it's not, I just want a clarification on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nickel.
Thank you, Worship. I have no concerns with the recommendation. I just wondering if procedurally it was moved by Councillor Ices as opposed to Councillor Waters.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Orsatti.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for further clarification, Mr. Jacobs, if you could just clarify a little bit further on the listing. So with this property being listed and not designated as heritage, only requires that if they determined that they want to tear down the building, they would have to give the town 60 days notice. And the town would then, if I'm just trying to look at, if the house was in unsafe condition, deteriorated into an unsafe condition, and the homeowners felt that it was best to tear it down than trying to fix it, in that 60 days, does the town send someone out to look at that and then determine whether it would be approved to have it torn down, or how would that be handled?
Mr. Jacob?
Your worship, through you to Councillor Rosati, yes, definitely. Given it, because there are things that happen, such as a disaster or a tornado or something like that, where the physical structure, the safety of the structure could be compromised, and that definitely would be a factor in any further discussion on the property. So, should council decide to add this as a listed property tonight, there would be a 60-day hold on any demolition. If the physical nature, the physical condition of the building, is questionable or whatnot, that would be part of the 60-day discussion about how to move forward with the property. If it's deemed to be not safe by town building officials, or even a private, a building inspector or something like that, that definitely would be part of the discussion, further discussions that staff, the property owner, and council would have on how to move forward with this committee, with the property. Would it be just to remove the property from the register, which would allow the demolition permit, or maintain it and whatnot? So it's a little hypothetical sort of situation, but definitely the condition of the property at that time would be a part of the discussion.
Thank you very much. So then that protects the property if it is in good condition, but if it deteriorated, was in poor condition, it allows that flexibility with the homeowner and the communication with the town. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that answer your questions, Councillor Ices?
That's good.
Thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder on this recommendation, Councillor Ices and Councillor Nicol. All those in favor? Or was that a question, Councillor Waters? Did I miss you? Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Next was the Q1 update, I believe. And that was Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a single question, so I don't want to change any of the recommendations, that kind of stuff. So I'll just ask my question and we can go from there.
Yeah, and I'd like if you could get a seconder. That.
Oh, okay. Someone who wants to.
Yep, everybody's got their hand up.
Okay. All right. Okay. For some reason, I've just lost my video, so I can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So, Councillor Payne.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what I clicked on, but I can't see. All I see is a document in front of me, and I can't seem to get back to that. So I will continue on. And thank you, Councillor Payne, for doing that for me.
And we can see you. I want you to know that. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. The only question I have is regarding the stormwater cleanout and retrofit program. In terms of, it says off in the comments column that they're looking at a 15% increase, maybe 15.3 that point, but the requested increase is going from is $600,000, which is well above 15%. So I'm just kind of curious why the significant either cost overruns or increased in this capital project.
And I'm not sure who I should call on for that. Mr. Milanician.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just through finance, I don't have the specific. Where I think we'll reach out to Jeremy House, and we'll get back to you with a response shortly if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I think it was generally just a percentage, was it not? In some cases, a percentage added to each of the files, if I'm not mistaken. Other questions or comments on the Q1 update? I had two. One of them was on page 3 of 14, the interest and dividends. Our actuals to March 31st are like less than half of the year to date. I'm just wondering, with our great prudent investor returns, why that would be, except maybe that just generally interest rates in 2021 were so poor. Ms. Webb?
Yes, through your worship, in terms of the interest, at the time of the preparation of the report, we don't have all of our prudent investor returns recorded in there yet. Though we get those reports quarterly and didn't have it at the time of the preparation.
Got it. Thank you. And then one other question about I think it's the last recommendation about the traffic calming, RDS 363, and the not being able to use the federal gas tax funds for people hours or for staffing. So it says returning. Does that mean like returning to the federal government or returning to a reserve fund or?
Your worship, the answer to that question, so for that particular project, it was originally budgeted to be fully funded from federal gas tax. And yes, so the money, and because some of those costs being staff time aren't eligible costs, we'll return it. We have a reserve fund for the federal gas tax. And it's used for other eligible projects. So it just goes back into that reserve fund for future use.
Wonderful.
We're able to carry that forward.
Great. I was just not wanting to have to actually return it to the federal government. I didn't want to do that. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions or comments on Q1? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation as printed, that is carried. Next is C3, and that was Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. There is one portion of the report that I am actually rather curious about.
If you could just get a seconder first.
Oh, sorry. Terribly sorry. If I can get a seconder, it'd be appreciated. Councillor Waters. Okay. In section 5.2.2 under the long-term funds for eligible investments, you can see that we've changed a lot of the funding parameters. The eligible investments for long-term funds, including the following offerings by one investment, and they've wiped out quite a number of the high interest savings account, the Canadian government bond fund, the corporate bond fund, etc. And then it replaces it with the eligible investments for long-term funds include any pooled fund or other collective investment vehicle or institutional investment management product sponsored or managed by one investment for the prudent investment program. My question is, I understand managed, that would mean it would be under their umbrella. How does sponsoring it, does that allow it more flexibility and flow between more funding, or is it something that they can float money between different accounts during that time? Or I just need some clarification on that if possible, please.
Certainly, Mr. Melanishin.
Through your worship, this is one of the adjustments the Chief Information Officer for One JIB decided to put in here. The listing is very prescriptive, and the one investment, they have different tools that they actually manage themselves or endorse. And I think that just opens up the portfolio a little bit broader beyond the restrictive, the restrictive legal limit list. It's just a broader definition that the Chief Information Officer of the One JIB board recommended, because that list that you see there that is struck out or redacted is very prescriptive, and there are a few other opportunities that we can as a municipality invest our funds in. So it's just opening up the door a little bit for us.
So you're saying in essence that it allows us to keep our eggs in a few more baskets in case something goes really well or really poorly.
It gives us latitude to, through your worship to Councillor Fowler, it gives us the opportunity to, yes, diversify if we see the need to do so in some of the sponsored or really supported one investment options that they have offered, as opposed to just the very short list prescribed there originally.
Thank you. Fun fact, when we were advocating for the one investment and for broadening investment powers for municipalities above the legal list, the Minister of Municipal Affairs at the time was Minister Bill Morrow. And he was very reluctant, and it took a long time and a lot of convincing. And when he did, he only opened the door this much, and he was very, very careful. Now, Mr. Morrow is the mayor of Thunder Bay, and guess who just invested a whole bunch of money into the prudent investors into One JIB? So there you go. I digress. So I think that was all of the items that were pulled, and I will ask for a all in favor of the recommendation for C3. That is carried. And now we'll go to the RISE recommendation, and I'll ask for Councillor Payne and Councillor Nicol to move and second the RISE recommendation. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And next we'll go to adoption of the recommendations from Committee of the Whole, and that would be Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councillor Ices to move and second, and all in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. And next we'll go to a notice of motion. So this notice of motion is here tonight and will be considered and debated on June the 8th. So next we'll go to announcements. Announcements for this evening, please. Any announcements? Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Worship. A couple of good news announcements finally after a couple of years of not so much. Happy to announce that the Innisfil Garden Club is holding their annual plant sale in Guildford at the Arboretum again this Saturday from 8 till 1. I'm sure that all of us can also get there and renew our memberships then as well. So it should be a good day. On Tuesday, May 31st, it's the first return of Neighborhood Nights, and it's starting in Cookstown at the Kids Lane Park from 6 till 8. And happily next weekend, June 4th, it's the return of the Cookstown Chamber of Commerce's Wing Dang after a 2-year hiatus. So it's going to be good to see a lot of people out and enjoying some deals all throughout Cookstown. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicol. Any other announcements? I've got a couple, so I just wanted to give a big shout out to the pitch-in team for a really great day. It was very successful and well done, so thank you for that. The same day also was an open house for Police Week, and Police Week was very well attended this year. Lots and lots and lots of kids. Of course, Nitro was the big star. And also the Innisfil Garden Club had a flower show at Churchill and had a memorial tea for Lucy Vellante, which former president who passed away sadly. I also want to announce there will be a ribbon cutting grand opening of the Innisfil Farmers Market on June the 2nd. 1 o'clock, so looking forward to that very much. And also looking forward to Monday, May the 30th. Members of council will be doing a trial run of our kind of remote hybrid meeting to see if we can't get back in person, but also make it still easy for people to view at home, and also for time to time for council to be able to also virtually attend. So we'll see how that dry run goes. Stay tuned, everyone. And now I'm going to ask if Ms. Creamer was able to have any success with that CAMA award, and if we could maybe see the pictures this time. Deputy Clerk Toma, you're on mute.
The Assistant Clerk Kim Creamer is about to bring that
in development. Innisfil prides itself on developing and growing as their people, learning and developing the skills, strengths, and abilities to meet current and future community needs. A Learning and Development 2.0 strategy was developed that solidified the town's commitment to high performance, revenue generation, and dynamic
just not meant to be, but
for the organization and its employees to move toward the desired corporate culture and community-focused approach. Congratulations to the town of Innisfil, Ontario, winner of the 2022 CAMA Professional Development Award in the 20,001 to 100,000 population category for its Learning and Development 2.0 strategy. strategy. As a learning organization, Innisfil prides itself on developing and growing their people and developing the skills, strengths, and abilities to meet current and future community needs. A Learning and Development 2.0 strategy was developed that solidified the town's commitment to high performance, revenue generation, and dynamic learning opportunities. It also supported the change necessary for the organization and its employees to move toward the desired corporate culture and community-focused approach to excellence in service delivery. The approach focuses on programs that support short-term and long-term learning objectives and aligns with Innisfil's culture, mission, vision, and values. As the town continued to move forward with employee engagement and a rich corporate culture that values innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, and performance, it was time to take a purposeful approach to learning and development and create longevity and impact for the organization. The strategy ultimately supports a strong culture that differentiates Innisfil from others so the town can attract critical talent, support, retain employees, and develop and grow their staff. This was especially important with employees facing increased service demands from a growing community with limited opportunities to grow operating budgets. Congratulations to the town of Innisfil, Ontario, winner of the 2022 CAMA Professional Development Award.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, just a great way to end the meeting. I think we should have one of those videos every at the end of every meeting. So thank you for that. Is there any other announcements from anyone? Seeing none, then we'll go to the confirming bylaw when we get the screen back up. And I would ask Councillor Van Berkel and Councillor Arsadi to move and second the confirming bylaw. And since it's not on the screen, I will read it. That bylaw number 051-22 being the confirming bylaw of council meeting held on May 25th be adopted. All in favor? Those contrary? Seeing none, that's carried. And then we'll go to adjournment. And I will ask for Councillor Waters and Councillor Fowler to move and second that we adjourn our meeting at 8:47 p.m. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff, for a great meeting and lots of moving forward and positive steps. And have a good rest of the evening. And we'll see everybody Monday in person.